This is a film about cycling. And climate change. Can you give me a definition of climate change?
Yes, I've written one down. Climate change is the name given to the very big changes and shifts in our weather and atmosphere that are happening, caused by, amongst other things, the amount of a gas called carbon dioxide being released into the atmosphere by human beings when they do things like drive cars, fly in planes, or burn coal to make power. That's a big car going past, just to illustrate our point.
Bike for good! Bike for good! Community hub!
Yeah, so my role is embedded artist, and together with Geraldine Heaney, hi,
Hello.
we were asked to make a film to document the VeloCommunities project. What is VeloCommunities?
So VeloCommunities is a climate challenge funded project which covers south and west from our two hubs, and it's working with our local communities to encourage them to leave petrol guzzling vehicles and ride a bike and mitigate towards limiting effects on climate change.
VeloCommunities is the 1,000th project to be funded by the Climate Challenge Fund. 1,000 projects which aim to tackle the climate emergency. VeloCommunities is a project about changing people's behaviour, changing how people travel around the city, encouraging them to use less carbon-emitting transports and to cycle more. There's a number of different free activities offered by the project across the city. We spent time at the community hub in the south side. We met lots of people. And we were always warmly welcomed.
Welcome to Back for Good. Today we're going to answer some questions. Okay, did you enjoy the Good for Bikes with Hannah? We enjoyed that so much, and I love the games that we played. It's a humongous yeah. It's for all ages.
All ages.
Yeah. Except for babies. Yeah. For babies. Except you could start from 3 or 4 up to like 20 or 30. Even more.
Can you not go? Oh, yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. All right, let's go and to bike for good.
I guess what sort of, I suppose, was really surprising and exciting for us is that whilst this is an organisation that's dealing in carbon reduction, it's a really joyful place, it's a really fun place, and a lot of that information that is important, but it's overwhelming and it's hard to hear and it makes you feel a bit sad and a bit desperate. I felt like it was the polar opposite of hanging out with these young people who are just full of life and energy and vitality.
Let me walk. This is where you have a little bit fun. This is Angus, the worker. These are the workers. They're helpful. Workers, say hi to the video. Elders, say hi. So, and those are the bikes for sale behind you. And these are the bikes for sale right here. And then here's the toilet. Here's all of the helmets. And here's the toilet. And this is where our pictures are. Yeah, right here. Ta-da! All of these pictures, are they not cool?
They're very cool.
As we all think about how to deal with climate change, it's increasingly clear that we are making the future right now. A future that these young people will have to live in.
Alright, Lewis,
Oh, yeah.
how is it to ride a bike?
It's brilliant to ride a bike. It feels really fun and really joyful, and it's quite tiring, but in a really good way, in a way that makes you feel more awake. So that's how it's like to ride a bike.
Yanko, do you like seeing your friends and going in the park? Of course I do.
So So we have quite an active engagement programme where we do lots of fun events that people can attend and show their interest. So we do free doctor bikes in both sites, where if you've got an old bike that's lying about in the shed or the garage and it hasn't been used for a while, we can service that and get you back on. But the whole point is engagement, chatting to people. We do events out in local parks and local places where we chat to people about the project. So we can do a bike buddying system. So we can do the journey with you. We can do lots of travel planning. We can teach you some simple maintenance through our maintenance classes. If you've not got a bike, we can give you access to a bike. So we've got Next Bike memberships, which we can give you. We've got a loan bike scheme where we can give you access to a bike for a couple of weeks so you can try, see how it fits in with your lifestyle before you invest in getting a bike. And all of this is free because it's funded through a Climate Challenge Fund. So we can get these people active on a bike for little or no cost to them.
So today outside we're fixing our bikes. Then in the shine. Then if it was gonna be raining, we're just gonna go inside.
Push it right down at the end so we can see how far it fits.
What did you say, Jamie?
She said Lewis will be the best bike mechanic in Scotland.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Just a few days shy of that title.
Yeah. How do you feel about that, Lewis?
I think it's long overdue that I was titled best bike mechanic in Scotland. I fixed one brake and attached a bike rack, so that doesn't get me the title.
What
will?
does? Bike for Good have grown from a wee stall at the Barrows in 2010 to having over 50 people working with them, and they're getting thousands of people cycling across the city.
I was kind of scared, but somebody always comes with me. They help me very good way. They were so good, and even though sometimes I feel like I'm never gonna learn this, even I try my best and then I'll be a little bit disappointed, and they said, no, you will learn it, you will do it, you will do it, and this thing make me, yes, I can do it.
As I started Bike for Good here, I learned these skills and I took them home and I was actually fixing my own bike. And then I did a course in the West End and they gave me a free bike at the end of the course. So now that's my go-to-go bike.
I put together a list of things that I wanted to achieve. One of those things was cycling, and Bike for Good was, in the local area, convenient for me. I approached them and asked them, if they've got any kind of lessons or anything like that I could actually learn to cycle. And really that's when my journey started. I was able to come in every kind of Saturday, dedicate like an hour to coming in and learning to cycle. The instructors were absolutely fantastic. Really encouraging, very motivational, and really their passion for cycling is absolutely infectious. I think I've got the cycling bug, really.
I've really enjoyed, since coming here, doing an activity that's mostly outdoors, and the kind of attitude that it's whatever the weather.
So I do the ladies' rides on Thursdays, and we've been all over Glasgow. We've found, little secret routes that get you into the city centre or out to the parks, and it's been really good for my confidence, and I really, really enjoy the rides, just enjoy the social interaction with everybody.
I went along to the Thursday morning women's only group lesson and met someone who was getting on a bike for the first time ever.
I tried never tried. Once I'm like over 20, people say, oh, it's hard to learn. See, and I don't want to get empowered, but then I'm just gonna do that.
Yeah! And you did it, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
One of the things that VeloCommunities is trying to address is all the different reasons why people might not cycle.
People have so many barriers and you don't even realise, and I guess I'm still learning what those barriers are. And then secondly, there are people that don't have any barriers, but they still, in terms of making that change, it still takes an awful long time.
I am really excited about getting some on-road tuition, because actually I do cycle on the roads, but no one's ever actually really... Actually no, to be fair, when I was maybe like 12 we did some lessons in school, but actually as an adult I've never had on-road training. And actually it's really apparent, now that we're going to go out, how much I should have done that earlier. What do you think about that, Hannah, being cutting about on the roads?
I think it's very normal. I think most people just sort of work out for themselves, which is fine and not a problem. But I think it can really help people's psyche, help people's confidence to know like what bikes you have on the road and like where to be riding, so that you're nice and visible and so that you're in control and you're not kind of bowing to the other traffic.
Yeah, and I suppose actually for someone like me that's looking to cycle more, I guess the more I know about, say, my rights on the road and what I'm doing, I think I'm more likely to be confident to cycle more.
It has totally changed how I cycle.
That's good.
I'm excited to go and learn more.
Hey.
Let's do it!
Yeah, get this.
I'm getting it.
This is
all gold.
Teaching you everything there.
Yeah, definitely. That's the kind of service you get. That's the detail, the level of attention to detail here at Bike for Good.
Like lots of people, Lewis is nervous about cycling in traffic, so he did a bike buddy session with Hannah to help him understand how best to negotiate Glasgow's busy roads.
So that's what I've learned more recently, is just the length of time it takes people to change behaviour because of maybe known or unknown barriers.
Glasgow, like any city, was built for people, not cars. But sometimes, if you look out onto our streets, you wouldn't think so. Motorised transport dominates. It takes up the most space, pollutes the air, and creates overpowering noise.
Because I'm filming you now. I am. Yeah, it looks great.
So how is it different from going in a car?
Because the smoke comes out and it's bad for like the walls, and bikes don't have that.
From a carbon emissions point of view, we are in a society where everything is driven by fossil fuels, whether it's planes, whether it's cars, industry, electricity, etc. And it's had an impact on the environment, on the world, and we're now at a stage where Glasgow has declared a climate emergency. All over on the world. I mean, if you look at the weather today, it's horrendous torrential rain and we're in early August. So there's lots of effects of climate change that you can see, and we have to actively mitigate that. And car transport or vehicle transport is a key contributor to that. So we are actively getting people to think about leaving their car at home, even getting rid of the car, maybe dropping down from 2 cars to 1, or in some families 5 to 1, and actually getting out on the bike and tapping into all those benefits that I've just talked about, as well as helping save the environment.
This is our one planet at the moment, and it is our home. We are absolutely reliant on it, and we are part of it. It's interdependent. It's like a community. It's all interconnected. None of it can survive without the other bits. So that's something I've thought about a lot, and I think about it because we've been having big conversations about the environment, but also because I have been cycling more. So you're just out in the air. I'm out in the air a lot more. I'm feeling the rain on my skin. I'm breathing sometimes car fumes into my lungs, and it just makes you so aware that there's nowhere else to go if we don't get this right. So we kind of have to.
We're going out to go beach. You know what time is it? It's beach time. Let's go.
How's everyone feeling? Good!
I'm excited.
Yeah, good.
Human influence has been detected in warming of the atmosphere and the ocean, in changes in the global water cycle, in reductions in snow and ice, in global mean sea level rise, and in changes in some climate extremes. IPCC 5th Assessment Report. We have 11 years to drastically reduce our carbon emissions to prevent the most extreme effects of global warming. Otherwise, we will face droughts, floods, extreme heat and poverty for hundreds of millions of people.
It's about individual action that you can take, but also on a bigger scale, it's about collective action. We need a lot more people doing a lot more of what we are doing. As a city, our vision is very much where cycling benefits the whole city. So we see safer roads, we see less cars on the road, so it's safer, we see more families cycling, we see better infrastructure, and the more cyclists there are, the safer that will become.
I mean, I've been worried about climate change since the 80s, but nothing seemed to happen. No, you can't have alternative energy. No, you can't have a place without cars. The car is king and all this stuff. So, but finally, people are listening and they're just changing. So I just hope it's really quick.
Yeah, like a lot of people, I think and get worried about climate change a lot. And so in some ways doing this film I was, I suppose, quite nervous because I thought, it's going to be looking at really heavy, really difficult things, and it totally has been that, but there's been this incredible counterbalance of hope and of energy, and it's reminded me that as much as it's really important to think about the future that we want to avoid, one of climate chaos, it's also really important to look at the future that we want to build and actually how worth it's going to be. So whilst it might mean changing things now, and it might mean making our lives more complicated by removing motorised transport or eating different things or all the different sacrifices that we kind of all know we have to make to sort of avert the climate crisis, it's so worth doing because it would mean a future where we're happier and healthier and just having a great time. And this, every time I come to Bike for Good, I'm reminded, oh yeah, that's what we're aiming for. All that really difficult stuff is there, but actually we're aiming for something hopefully so positive and fantastic.
What's up, guys? Thanks up. Beautiful bike, everyone. I like chicken nuggets. I like chicken nuggets. Look at you. Peace out.
Can you imagine what it'd be like if there was just suddenly no cars in Glasgow?
Oh gosh, wouldn't it be brilliant everywhere?
What would you do if you were king of Glasgow?
I'll be nice to people.
Oh, that is a great plan.